welcome. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Charter Township of Comstock Parks and Recreation for Monday, June 8th, 2026 at 6 p.m. The first item is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
No objections? Motion passed. The next item is public comments. Are there any public comments? No. Seeing none, moving on to the consent agenda, which consists of the meeting minutes, the GL distribution report, and the mercantile bill. And do we?
I do not have the mercantile bill for this.
So less the mercantile bill. Are there any questions or concerns? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will abstain from the vote.
Okay, with the abstention of Commissioner Rizzolo, no other objections, motion passed. Okay. Then we move on to the presentations. And we have one, I believe, for a prescribed burn report. Thank you.
Alrighty, good evening. So, this first one's your burn map, so when I reference it, this is what you should be looking at.
Okay, could you state your name, please?
Dakota Shikansky. I am the Ordinance Officer for Comstock. I also did the burning at Robert Morris last month.
Okay, thank
So
you.
again, this is the burn map, so this is what you'll be referencing. The first packet I gave you is the burn report. I kept it pretty simple. I don't want to go too in-depth with it, so it's going to break it down for you. So pretty much how it gets laid out is it's going to tell you all of the conditions that we had, what we could have had at the fire. So the name of the fire was Robert Morris Fire. I had Robert Morris Command. The location was at Robert Morris Park. The terrain we were in was a mixture of tall grass and a conifer stand. Just depend where we were burning at. Burning unit 1 and 2 were mostly the pine stand. The fuel type and conditions are graded as a GR2, which just means that it's a mixed fuel load for the area that we were in. The fire weather we had, it was high 58, low of 43. At the time of burn, it was in about 49 or 48. Wind speeds were 17 miles per hour, 30 mile per hour gusts, and we had a 0% chance of rain, which is good. We have no previous fire behavior that was reported because we never burned out there in the past. So moving on forward, if you get these again, this would be put in there as the previous fire weather. Our rate of spread was roughly 2.34 chains per hour. One chain is 66 feet. So we had decent spread, which was nice for the area that we were in. We had better spread in burn units 1 and 2. Burn units 3 through 9 were a little bit more wet, and we had issues moving through, but I was so happy with it. The mixing height was 3,200 feet, so that just tells you how high up the smoke goes before it branches outwards. So it went roughly 3,200 feet up in the air before it branched outwards. Burn unit 1, the unit consisted mostly of conifer fuels, being pine. We had 10 to 20% shrub. In this instance, when I talk about litter, it's not garbage. Litter in this case is what's left over from the trees or bushes. So leaves, pine needles, branches, that is litter. So whenever you see litter, that's just referencing the leaves and branches. So the litter in Duff Layer was mostly pine needles and a leaf mix, and there was no history of a prior prescribed burn in the area. So the way we burned this one, I had 2 drip torches on the southwest side of the burn unit, and I had them branch outwards, working around doing a circle, which we did circle in. So we got a complete burn all the way on the outside, which made me happy that we were not going to go ahead and lose this fire. Once when they met in the middle, I sent the fire department in with 2 drip torches to go ahead and do some interior burning, which went pretty well. This packet, the one that says photographs, has photos of the actual burn if you want to look at them. The burning went pretty well. I did have the fire department go wild, as I told them, and they enjoyed trying to burn down the pine trees. We didn't burn down any pine trees. We did put some cat face on them, so there was some scarring on the trees from the fire, which is good. That's what we want. That means that we were burning off any of the diseases that could be present, and we also put in that high carbon load back into the ground, which pine trees need. Pine trees do rely on fire, so this is good for them. We didn't lose any pine trees. We did have some laddering, which is fire moving upwards in a tree. The highest laddering here I think we had was about 6 feet. I was able to hit it with my tool and put it out, but that tree did not die. We did burn on accident quite a few poison ivy spots. So you can't do a prescribed burn with the sole goal of burning poison ivy. Burning poison ivy is illegal, but if it happens to get burned in the process, that's bonus. So we burned, so we did lose some poison ivy spots. The garlic mustard as well got burned too. There's still some left, but definitely not as much as it was. And we did reduce a lot of that leaf litter. About 80% of the burn area was burned. That was the guesstimate at the time. Post-burn is about 70%, which isn't too bad. It is a very dense area. There was a lot of leaf litter on the ground. The area has never been burned before. There's probably anywhere from 3 to 5 centimeters worth of duff and litter on the ground. So that fire did have to try to work through that. Unit 2 was roughly 30% shrubs. We did have 2 areas where we had logs that were put together from Joe cutting down trees. I'm assuming it was Joe who cut down trees and left them in a pile, which is great because we burned those as well. Same thing happened. We put a ring around the burn unit. Then we went ahead and did some interior burning. Nothing jumped the line. About 60% of the burn area was burned. For both units, we did have animal return within 24 hours. That same night, there were deer and coyotes out there. So that was pretty cool to see, which is what we want to see. We do want to see deer hanging back out in the area. That means that we didn't burn away their whole food source. Burn unit 3 was mostly tall grass. That burned okay. It was kind of wet. Same thing with burn units 4 through 8. It was mostly open grass. It burned pretty well. We do now have wild carrots popping back up. The mullein looks great, and we do have wild strawberries that are popping up. Burn unit 9 was a bit more fun for the fire department. Most of it was pine trees. About 10% of it is shrubs. Same thing, we burned around, and I had the fire department go inside and do some burning. And one of your photos, we do have a picture of laddering fuels. We did lose a full pine tree, or at least I thought that we lost a full pine tree. It's gonna be the last page and second to last page. That one did end up laddering upwards, and we did have some torching. Looking back on it, 24 hours after the burn and 1 week after, the tree is doing just fine. We got new pine needles coming out, so we didn't kill the tree, which is good. That just means that there was infection on the tree that we had to kill off, and we did a good job of it. My future recommendations is that we should burn this one again this year, probably late fall, probably late summer or the early fall, just due to how much litter was present. And I couldn't burn it all at once. I did need a good washout of the rain to see what was left and get rid of that ash. I did have a couple calls after the burn, which is normal. It is very normal for myself to get calls or any burn manager to get a call after a burn about people panicking about things smoking, things still on fire, things like that. Fire department did go out there a couple times, looked at it, said it's fine, and left it be because they were out there with me. We did have a volunteer call me back out there at night. I did go out there, and I did say, it's fine, it's not going to go anywhere. And at that point, I did walk around to make sure at almost 10 o'clock at night that there was no other danger out there, and there wasn't, just a bunch of coyotes that were following me. I was walking around, and I go out there, and I'm like, I might as well go walk around, and I was walking around, I was like the northwest corner of the burn unit, I'm like, I feel something watching me, so I hit the high beam on my helmet, and I just see 7 set of eyes looking at me, and all right, so we're gonna head back to the car really quick. Yeah, outside of that, it went pretty well. Fire department had a lot of fun. They wanted to keep burning. Nobody from the parks really complained about it, so it was fun. I was out there the very next day having to do some mop up. We found that we had a tree that looked healthy, that turned out not to be healthy, that was fully rotted. And I wound up crawling. At one point, I was like 8 feet in the air on top of the tree, just knocking off the dead limbs. And at some point, we will fall that tree because it's rotted. Any questions?
Yes, I have one. Your recommendation is to do this again. You said late summer or fall. Is this all of the locations you're considering?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It was just really wet for areas 4 through 9. And I was really on a time crunch with things between the turtles, doing turtle things, planting eggs, and the butterflies. I was really running out of time to get this burning. So I was really more focused on burners 1 and 2. Just 3 through 9 was a bonus. We happened to get, but I will definitely burn those again, either late summer, early fall.
Okay, is this something that is a good thing to do yearly or
Yes,
periodically? Okay.
We will see once I get it into a healthy, cleaned up state, usually once a year or every other year. It really all depends what it needs. So this is something that I would look at a couple years down the road and see, is burning it every year doing it good, or are we doing some more harm to it, or can we do every other year? It's really going to depend on what's going on with the burn unit. And I won't know that until I can get most of that leaf litter off the ground.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you very much for all your work.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, we go on to business items. We have the Merrill Park River Edge proposal, discussion, presentation.
Just an update on where we're at in the process, not a proposal.
Yep, so hi, Mike Presto, Prein Newhof. Been a while since I've been here, so feel free to jump in, stop me, questions, all that. But the riverfront project, we had met with the Parks Department last year, but the riverfront improvement mostly centered on revitalizing the shoreline, I think is accurate to say. Getting rid of those blocks. There's a couple spots that are failing.
Mike, is that mic on? It doesn't sound. Is it green?
No, it is not.
Okay. I think you just hit the front thing. Maybe. Uh-oh. So it catches it on TV.
There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's try that again. So yeah, kind of focused on the revitalizing the shoreline. We had, anything you do along there, anything you really do to the park in general is going to require some eco permits because you are in the floodplain, basically the entire park is. Anything along the shoreline, that's going to be an inland lakes and stream. So there's two kind of sections we care about. Part 301 and Part 31, you apply for those from the state under a joint permit application. And so we kind of thought it best do a lot of homework, background, kind of get you set up to apply for grants, understand what you're going to be allowed to do before you get too far ahead of yourselves in the planning process. And so we sent a crew out, we surveyed, did a topographic survey of the shoreline and of the river itself. We sent guys out in a rowboat with some sonar to get a picture of the cross-section of the river there. And then we held a pre-application meeting. It's kind of the first step for those Eagle permits with Eagle to discuss options. They, I think when we met with the township staff, I think the leading candidate was kind of a natural shoreline, and Eagle is very in support of that. It just depends on if the modeling for that, if the river allows that type of work. You really care about erosion, especially in kind of this section here. It gets pretty fast just over there. But you really, whatever you want to do, you want to make sure it's going to stay there in the next 5-10 years. So we worked with Eagle, we worked with FEMA to get modeling data, and we think that a natural shoreline project is a good candidate. We talked a little bit about breaking up some, when I say natural, like plantings, small shrubs, things like that. You can break it up a little bit with some riprap. You're going to want something, you don't want native plantings by the boat launch or probably in front of your benches there. So you can break that up a little bit with some riprap. You're limited to 300 feet of that. The total project length is 550, so I don't think there's a concern about that at all. But riprap? Yeah, just stone, big stone, so you're not having a wall of plants. You'll have some spots where you can view the water or walk up to it. It's just, it's a good option for a stabilization. It's kind of a heavy duty. Eagle doesn't like to see big stretches of that, and they limit any sort of shoreline project to 300 feet of riprap, period. I don't think you're going to get close to that, but you do have the flexibility then, so you can kind of pick and choose where you want it to go. I think one of the big things was ADA access to those benches and kind of having those be spaces where you can either walk down to the water or view the water. But Eagle was very much in support of the native planting approach. The model suggests that it will work. There's not a huge concern there. And so they okayed the concept. We did have some discussions with the DNR to just kind of get them on board with the project initially. And then there is concern of native mussel species in the area. They just want to be aware of, if you ever do move forward with the project, give them a heads up. It's not a requirement that you guys have to fulfill, but they'll have some of their own staff come in to do mussel surveys, relocate any species, move them back post-construction. So we had all those discussions. We've been working on pricing. That's kind of the last piece of this to kind of get you a number here, kind of get your options. We actually just got some of the final numbers this morning, and I'll get this to you in kind of a formal packet, but I didn't have the time because we did just get the final stuff from some of the doc groups today. But so when we talk about the project, the shoreline naturalization, rehabbing the boat launch, so doing new concrete boat launch, doing a pier for both the boat launch and a kayak launch, a privacy fence along that westerly property line, and then rehabbing the parking lot, restriping it, maybe doing a seal coat. That might grow into more of a mill and fill if it gets into a couple years down the road, but and then just general restoration, as well as the bench ADA access. So we're looking at like a total project estimate right now of $430,000. That includes all the construction I just talked about, kind of your engineering, legal admin fees, permit fees, all that stuff. And then we do have a 10% contingency. We do that on all our estimates just because, you never know what's going to happen in the next year or two with prices. And so let's just keep that in mind. And then just a couple other general things. I think we were looking at the DNR kind of grouping of grants. I think we're still going to recommend going the trust fund route. There are other options because this is mostly a shoreline project, so there are other funds you can utilize, but that one seems to be, given the recreational components, probably your best bet. I believe that is a 25% match by the township on that one. And to do those, you'd be looking at applying next April. In the meantime, you'd have to put together your grant application. There's some requirements for all those. You would need to hold a public meeting where you present stuff, get public input. You need to have your, and I might be getting the language here wrong. Is it the 5-year strategic plan that you need to have that on file by a certain date? And I'm sure you're up on that, but just something to be aware of. So that's kind of the next step would be, you know, making a decision and if that's the route you want to go, and then spending, you know, this year to put together a good application for April. You could, if you've, you know, wanted to have this project ready, do the engineering ahead of time as well, do the permitting ahead of time as well. So you have a kind of a project ready to go regardless of how the grant or grants shake out. That would be an option as well. But I think.
How far in advance do we get information about when the grant is approved or not? I mean, are we all the way far down the path, or do you get that in a preliminary, like what you're starting to do now as we agree to do it? I mean, when does the grant actually get approved? Because that's going to be what about?
Next year.
Next year.
And is it December? I think it is, yeah.
Okay, so at that point, we'll know if we have that 25% match?
Yes, yeah. So you'll hear ahead of December, I believe, if it makes kind of the list. They'll reach out for additional questions, but the final determination will not be till December of 27 then.
Okay. And that's approximately, what, $75,000, $100,000? Or 25% of what, 400 rough?
Yeah, so you're looking at like $100,000 to $125,000 township contribution, just depending on how the plans, you know, what your final decisions are. You know, we would spend this year, or this coming year, I think you should spend it deciding the specific features you want, right?
Yeah.
The type of dock, the type of kayak launch. We would recommend it, and what we've priced out here is floating docks are kind of what everyone's gearing towards. So, you know, they drive posts, but the dock itself can rise and fall with the river, which, you know, I don't know how many years ago the water level is all the way to the street out there. So that's, I think, the route you should go. But those kind of things, you would spend that time this coming year making those decisions and kind of just getting a better idea of what you want to do specifically. Now that in concept, you've got Eagle on board, you got the DNR on board. They said they would, you know, the conservation staff would write letters of recommendation in support of the project. I think everyone likes to see a naturalization project, and specifically this site. Everyone kind of seemed excited about getting rid of that block. Yeah.
And are there different tiers, like, you know, the floating docks might be option A, but there also might be some lower costs or higher costs that you could evaluate?
Okay. I mean, you could drive some piers and do a permanent dock out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, we you know, we can help out with kind of those next steps and put together some schematics and things like that. Just kind of.
Those are commitment dollars from us first, right?
Say that again?
Those would be our commitment dollars to you to do that, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, again, I'll get all this in a nice package for you. Like I said, we just got the final stuff from the kayak launch today.
Yeah.
So we'll get you pictures of the stuff we priced out and some preliminary layout drawings on the survey info we have.
Okay.
Yes, drawings help.
Yes, yeah, I do. I've got like a sketch here that I was going to share with Brad, but I want to clean it up first. We made some last minute edits, and I got whisked away to a job site today, so I do apologize. But yeah, we'll get you a sketch with, you know, areas and footages, and here's what we're thinking.
Do you or someone at Prein Newhof help us with the grant applications? Or?
We absolutely can. We do these for communities all up and down the state. We'd get a lot of help out of our Grand Rapids office. That's where our site group is. They've done these before. And I was also hoping to we did a project very similar to this. Oh, the community just gave it me now. It might be. Yeah, it's just south of Grand Rapids, where they did 2 separate dock areas, some floating docks. They did a natural shoreline. I haven't gotten pictures of it in the spring yet. They wrapped it up last fall. So kind of gives you an idea of here's what to expect the final product to be. I think it was Plainfield. But yeah, we could help, we could get you a proposal to help that out. Yep.
Is separate?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, one of our concerns early on was safety, especially with kayak launching. So then the equipment that you're talking about addresses that, correct?
Safety in regards to the river.
Being able to launch, into the river.
Yeah. So your launches and docks would start well up the bank. We would set them, I think when we initially talked, it was kind of all in that area. We'd want to pull them on this side of the current boat launch to get away from the shallower areas. So you have a calm area to launch from. You'd have a long walkway to the launch itself, so that dock can rise and fall with the river. I guess, did you have any specific safety concerns beyond?
This is what I'm trying to visualize exactly how someone would get into the kayak, into this launch bay, and how it improves safety.
Yep, so the launch bay itself is floating, and you put the dock in it out of the water, and you kind of pull yourself on, and it would all be kind of one dock system. So they would drive piers in, the dock can float up and down on those, and the launch itself.
Okay.
But yeah, you kind of put the kayak in dry and pull yourself into the water.
Okay, that's good, because we have heard mention of safety concerns by users of the driveway going in. So if we could address that.
Part of this is, we talked with some of the peer people, changing the shape of that boat put-in as well, because I think it's a pretty drastic drop-off there. That's part of this. The one big thing that you really, you can do, but we would recommend not, is changing the existing elevation or grade. You can't fill, right, because you're in a floodplain. They'd probably let you cut if you wanted to, but you wouldn't want to lose land either. So, but we can work with the shape of that existing boat put-in to make it a little more user-friendly.
Okay, sounds good. Any more questions? No? Thank you.
Yep, I will get you a packet summarizing all this, and we'll go from there.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, the next item is Neal Street grass seeding quotes. Art?
So we have 2 quotes for this project. One is from the Landscape Plus quote, and theirs is just all on one-sided sheet of paper. The Wolverine quote is split up into 2 pages, so I try to make it kind of straightforward. The main area for Wolverine is your first copy. The area on the east side is the other part that we're talking about, and that's on the reverse side of Wolverine. So looking at them side by side, mostly the Wolverine quote is a lower price compared to the Landscaping Plus one. For the area on the east side, it's only about $300 more for Landscape Plus. For the main area, it is, I didn't do the exact math, but I believe it's closer to $8,000 or $9,000 that's more. However, meeting with both of the, what do you want to call them? People who work there who are giving us the quotes for these projects, having a better, Landscaping Plus seemed to understand the project better than the other group did. I think we would rather go with Landscape Plus. They have a better idea of what we're looking for, a better understanding. Looking at the other quote, they're not including some of the things that Landscape Plus is and that we believe need to be included in this quote. So where we would be spending closer to $10,000 more with Landscape Plus, I think it's going to be the better option in the long run. Landscape Plus is a local company, so I think that's a positive thing for our community. So my recommendation is that we approve the Landscape Plus quote for the main area at that $28,255 and the area on the east side cost for $6,200.
Could you please describe the east side a little?
That is just in front of the new landscaping and fence that we put in. It's going to be the grass between the mulch and the driveway.
Okay, and then the area that's, if you were standing in the pickleball courts to the right of that, around the, I mean, that's in the trail, is that going to be
The main area is everything that's inside that walking path.
inside the walking path? Okay.
And actually, did we ever get is it also around part of the perimeter on the outside of the walking path?
If it is, it's a real thin piece.
Sure.
It's not, the area outside of the walking path was just basically one mow swath of a mower width, because it goes into really nothing there, you know, so there's really no need to put any expense into that. The site, from my viewpoint, is Landscaping Plus has a better insight on the prep. There's a lot, it is so jam-packed with rocks and debris that Wolverine kind of blew off the site prep, where Landscaping Plus was very adamant about, preparing the site properly. So along with the one mower swath on the outside of that path, okay, site prep is gonna be really important. Because there is so, I mean, the site is, it's very, very rocky, and grass and rocks really don't get along. So with no irrigation there on site either, you're basically hoping for the best catch, what I call it field grass, that's consistent with all your other parks. But prep is gonna be really important. And the way the meeting went that I took from the meeting with both of the contractors, Landscaping Plus had a better understanding of that part of it.
So that does beg the question, how will it be watered
It actually, your prayers would help.
Okay.
The selection of that part of the project is important, that you play with Mother Nature. That is your only hope, okay? So to do it right now would be a definite disaster, okay, because it's so dry. So the best time to do any seeding at all is in the fall, early fall. So basically, we would work out that the timing would be basically the first week of September. And they would come in and prepare the site, add the topsoil to the top of it, top dress everything, and then do the seeding at that time. Your nights are cool. You tend to have a little bit more rain, and that is your only hope. It's unfortunate.
Extremely dry fall.
That, again, it can be. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
There's no guarantee from the company or anything like that.
No, nobody's gonna guarantee any germination without irrigation. So you have to play your cards right the best you can and go for the time of year to assist you in that germination percentage.
So what will be the total investment?
If we,
5 and,
6,200. I actually did not.
so basically around 35,000.
I did talk to our finance director a few months ago, and it is in the budget to do this with the going with the Landscape Plus project.
I have a question about boulders.
That is the next item agenda, but
Okay.
yes.
Okay, but as far as, there's an issue with keeping folks in the parking lot and not going on to the grassy areas. And is a 4-foot distance between them sufficient?
Probably not. The latest, it's been I think it was back in late winter. I think it might have been more of a mini bike that caused some of the issues, but
Yeah,
struggling with how do we do it the best way we can with, putting up another fence doesn't seem like what we want to do. Again, this is kind of the second light item, but doing what we can, it's already going to be $10,000 for the boulders, plus needing other barriers because of the concrete pieces. So the way I was looking at it, it would be about another $1,400, adding in ballards, those posts that go on the trail. I was thinking a bench that we could permanently put to the side of the bathroom facility, and maybe a bike rack to kind of help with that area. I don't think unless we put, a boulder every single spot, someone's always going to find a way in, even if there's only so much we can do. So that is another discussion, trying to decide if that is what we want to do, or if we think people will play nice. But I think grass is absolutely needed, and then trying to figure out the second piece to keep people off of it.
Okay, because we're talking about Neal Street Park, at the open house for the pickleball court, which was very nice. It was mentioned that there was no shade right in that area near the courts. And might we consider also either, well, tree is an option, I guess, but it takes a while. Or something like, fabric stretch, something over for shade. Can we wrap this into general improvements or not?
I'm confused, I guess. Are you trying to say that you want to add shade as another barrier, adding shade and a barrier?
No, I'm not saying that, no.
Okay, then can we try to stick to this piece first and then, just so I can stay focused on what we're doing?
Okay.
And they would be able to do it in September? They can put us on the schedule?
Yep.
With the right topsoil and the right, you think it's likely that
It will be processed topsoil, okay, and the quote was basically for 3 inches. Well, we have to step back and take a realistic look at the site. When the excavator left it, like it is now, he didn't do us any favors. And so they basically, left a lot of it at grade with existing rocks and gravel and everything else. So again, that's where the site prep of the area is really important, okay? Some areas are really low, some areas are way too high to accommodate topsoil, which is, so what we try to do is try to prioritize what's the best investment for the township, compare it to the other parks that are existing with no irrigation. Do we want a Cadillac? Yeah, but it's not realistic because you always shoot for the best, right? So, but if it's not doable because of circumstances, then you have to prioritize the best you can. So this is, the boulders, all of that stuff has been, we've been working on this now for the last couple of months, and there's not a real good answer for any of it. So you do the best of what you have. So, the cemetery, the future cemetery area on the east side of the fence, okay, there's boulders in there for whatever reason, and it kind of goes with the, you don't want it to look like a prison, you know, and so you go with what's natural, you know, so what's there. So, you know, so you try to make the best decisions you can at the time with the best information. So the timing of this project for the soil and the seed germination, you know, you have to be realistic. What's the best time? Well, the fall is definitely the best time. And so, you know, you make that decision. That was part of made very much aware to each contractor. Site prep is really important, you know, so that's where the priorities came. And then the 3 inches, I mean, you should have, to put a lawn in, you should have 6 to 8 inches of good topsoil. You know, you're gonna have 3 at best. So, with no irrigation. So you can kind of see we're kind of up against a brick wall, and we're just doing the best we can with what was before us. So.
Is Landscape Plus encouraging it that it will come out okay, or don't they commit to anything?
Well, they're gonna do, what really strikes a chord with me is that when a contractor lives the job, okay, and understands what the circumstances are, and his input is very well taken. He seemed to grasp the situation, okay? More so, the other company was basically trying to force Katie into making a decision on really what they wanted to do versus what our priorities were, and I think that's the big issue. So.
I wondered if landscape was, if they're saying this is a very doable thing with a fairly good result, or if they were saying, you know, we'll give it our best shot, but don't be disappointed if.
I know they were saying that they take pride in their work and they don't want to leave it a mess with their name on the project. So there's that.
They'll do the best they can under the circumstances.
And I have a little different question. The cemetery area, is that not irrigated at all?
Correct.
It is not, okay.
There's no water up there.
All right.
Maybe in a couple of years.
Okay, well, if so, maybe we can coordinate with them too, to extend the lines, you know, over to the park as well, but that's something we can work together with the cemetery.
It's more working with the city than us with the township, but the city putting water into that neighborhood. If they put water in that neighborhood, then we can hopefully piggyback off of that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So do we need a motion?
Yes.
I'd like to move forward and, sorry, my voice, move for a motion to accept our director's recommendations on using Landscape Plus for the dollars allocated from the budget as described.
Okay, totaling approximately 34,455. Okay, are there any objections? Okay, motion carried. Now on to the boulders.
So this is a very unofficial quote, but just to try to get some numbers, that's on this piece of paper. So with the area 1, that's going to be from this, if you're opposite side of the pickleball court, it'd be from the tree line to the walking path. And that's about 50 feet, and doing it every 4 feet would be 8 boulders. Each boulder is $250, and that includes everything, delivery of the boulder, placement of the boulder, that sort of thing. The next spot is area 2, and that's just moving right along from the south side of that walking path, moving towards the bathroom in front of the playground. So that's about 90 feet, and that would be 13 boulders worth, and the price broken down there. And then the next area is the largest, going from the other end of the bathroom. You're away from the pickleball courts at this point. You're more along the drive, going up the drive and then angling it off towards the tree line. So that's 130 feet, 19 boulders, for a total price for all 3 areas at $10,000. Now, that doesn't include the boulders that would need to be placed on that first area at that walking path. We would need another one past the pickleball court at that start of the walking path. And then we still have that gap of the concrete pad by the bathroom facility. And that's where I was thinking we could put either a bench or two. I know when we put a bike rack at Merrill, people don't use it because they said that it was behind a building and they couldn't really see it. I think being where that spot is, I think people would still be able to see their bikes, so that could be an option, or we could just put 2 benches there. But doing a quick quote on what those items would be, it's looking at about $1,400. So if we're trying to block off this area in more of a natural way, about, another $12,000 for the boulders and those pieces to block off the concrete parts.
And where would this money come from? What budget?
I don't know. We should still have money in the budget to do something like this. There are some things that I'm starting to cross off the list, put off towards next year, just because we are still fairly in the beginning of our busy, most expensive season, so not pulling the trigger on some of the other things. Looking at a couple other projects that we've done, not necessarily going with the higher bid, but going with a lower bid to try to make sure that we're covering our costs in other areas.
Who is this that has bid this?
Oh, I'm sorry, this is Landscape Plus as well.
Oh, this one is the second one, Aetna?
Yes,
Okay.
that's just scrap paper for us.
Oh, this is also
Yes,
Landscape Plus?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where did the boulders that we have over here in Merrill Park come from?
I believe they came from them as well.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure
For
they
some reason,
came.
I thought
Molders, I thought.
So Balkema and Landscape Plus are kind of the same company.
Oh, they are?
Is a
Yeah, that's right, there's 3.
Landscape Plus is a subsidiary of Balkema,
Oh,
Yeah,
Inc. I'm sorry, Balkema Site Work.
yeah.
Balkema Site Work.
okay.
So we have no,
I'm
oh, sorry, no, but we don't have any on, no competitive on the boulders.
We don't, as of right now, not sure of any other people who have large boulders for us to do this project.
Okay.
I believe, if I remember correctly, it'd be putting in the boulders after the grass.
Correct.
So we have a little bit of time to see if there's
Yeah,
more
I
that we
think
want to
so.
do, but at least number-wise, I wouldn't think it'd be too much more or less than this number here. And with that, I would get a better handle on, do we put 1 bench by the bathroom facility? Would a bike rack work there? Those sorts of things, but just to kind of get us thinking, knowing that this is kind of another larger dollar project for us coming up.
I have just one comment. In the discussion between Katie and I on the boulders, I visited Merrill Park down here and compared. Well, it varies. There are 4 feet, 9 feet, 14 feet, whatever. But what they have down here is they have a curb, a concrete curb, that the vehicle would have to go up and over that curb. So
There's another embankment.
So it makes it a little bit more difficult for a vehicle other than a motorcycle would, easily go over that, whatever. But, so that's what determined the size of the boulder to be consistent with the cemetery ones, and the distance in between. You're not gonna fit a car within 4 feet inside. So the boulder's gonna be a 3-foot boulder, 4 feet between each boulder. So that's how these numbers came to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think one of the more important things is probably the landscaping that we'd already approved, and the boulders would come at any point. There's not really a time frame.
I think it's more so wanting to protect the investment of putting the grass in, that we
Okay,
put the
so
grass in.
One before the other?
The grass would go in first, and then very quickly with it,
Okay.
the boulders would go in.
Because I find boulders are more of a commodity item that I think there might be, it might be worth it just to see if there's someone else who would also add to it. That would be my only suggestion. Otherwise, I'm for it, so.
I would want to try to get at least one other quote if it's not showing that we reached out to 2 other companies and they don't do boulders, but just trying to make that effort to find the best price.
Okay.
But I guess with this, are there any other thoughts, ideas on how to put up more of a natural barrier? Do you guys like the Boulder idea? Do you hate it?
I think it's unfortunately necessary.
Is it right?
I
all
think
those
so.
things.
I mean, based on our conversations.
But if there were places to have benches, I mean, that kills two birds with one
Yeah.
stone. You've got a place for people to sit down, and it also blocks.
Yeah, I could definitely support getting more benches and possibly a bike rack, I mean, for the here and now.
The bike rack, I'm torn on. I don't know
Oh.
if people would use it or not.
Yeah.
It seems like they just
If you
lay it on the
build it.
ground, but but it would look nice.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But benches can happen
Yeah.
sooner than later. We don't have any benches then?
No, we do. I believe we
Okay,
have
that's what I thought.
3, and then 4 picnic tables.
That's right, okay.
but if you're, especially around by the playground, if you're a parent, you're sitting there watching your child, you have more opportunities to have a place to sit down.
To Teresa's point, the biggest thing I hear up there is that there's no shade. So it's shade for the pickleball courts and then shade for the playground as well. It gets really hot up there in my own experience,
Yeah.
but not really knowing, I don't have an idea yet on what shade looks like. People that I've talked to, it's more screen shades for, I'm sorry, like a wind shade, a wind
Yeah,
blocker
like-
for the pickleball courts. Our gazebos aren't doing the greatest things. I don't know if the gazebo's the greatest idea. When we have pavilions, the same sort of thing happens, so I don't know if that's the route we want to go, and those are certainly more expensive than what the gazebo would be. So I'm a little stuck right there so far about how to get shade.
I mean, even kind of don't they have sort of like an awning, wouldn't even have.
Yeah, I think that's what she was talking about,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not an awning that you would lower.
It's like a cabled
Yeah.
fabric of some sort, yeah.
Like a canvas.
Because if you get canopy with, any type of trees, then you're cleaning out your pickleball court all the time.
I mean, even like a metal awning.
Yeah,
Just sort of,
oh,
I mean, not be a full pavilion, but be,
yeah.
like you have in a band, I don't know, but
Band shell?
be some, like in a band shell,
Yeah.
they have kind of a concave
Yeah.
thing that kind of, but yes, even the day we were up there for the opening, it was very hot.
It's just very hot,
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah, and then when you're standing in the sun.
Yeah.
But I don't think the pickleball courts at Richland have a cover, do they?
It's not a cover, that's where we were going round and round with that. It's just a wind blocker, it's not a shade.
So we'll basically table this and try to get another,
For the boulders, I think.
Try to get especially if this is the direction that we want to go in, I will look for another quote or come back with, this is what it is.
Yeah,
And more than likely, hopefully, bring that back to July's meeting.
there's a place in Riverview, and there's a place like Mulder's, and there was a, trying to think, there was one more that I've seen, like, they've got rock collections, so,
I mean, like even guardrails, like we have in some of the other parks, like at like around the parking lot, I mean.
Yeah, I guess with
Oh, the wood
Fleetwood,
the wood ballers.
the Green
Yeah.
Meadow has that.
Would
Yeah.
at least enclose that area that nobody would.
Yeah. Well, I know the cemetery had problems with people going out on their trucks and just turfing it, yeah.
Yes,
And I don't know, did the boulders help prevent that?
I think those were placed after
Yeah,
after it happened,
but it hasn't happened again, but,
except for like she said, a motorcycle or something.
yeah, then you're,
ATV.
well, what else can you
go up
do?
there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we will expect then at the next meeting, there should be more estimates on boulders and benches. And
When I did we would need 2 ballards, I said 1 bench and 1 bike rack, and then the tools, screws for all that stuff, it was about $1,400.
I think that should get,
And that included shipping.
I mean, I think we can do that, can't we? We can get that rolling, we don't,
Sure.
or are we too busy? I don't mean it that way, I don't mean it that way.
I just didn't think of it that way necessarily. Yes, I can, possibly, potentially before the July meeting, I could buy another bench, get the ballards, decide if we want the bike, you want the bike rack or not.
Yeah,
Anyone has any
we'll take your
opinions on that?
recommendations.
yeah,
And it would be the same benches to
Yes.
match the others?
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's a good working plan.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh. Okay, so that goes on to reports and correspondence. Do we have any? No? Okay, and on to the May revenue and expenditure report.
Thank you. Thanks again for all your watering and all of that effort to go into that.
No questions or concerns? No? Okay, then going on to the June director's report.
So at Merrill Park, who is doing the opening and the closing? Is it?
Larry Rabbit.
It is, okay. But, and Brock's doing it up at
Neil.
Neil Street. Have there been any issues with the restrooms or
Which restroom?
any of the restrooms?
They've been okay. I don't think we found any, I haven't heard that we found any drug paraphernalia. I think the restroom at Neil gets a little yucky, but Larry does a very nice job cleaning the bathrooms at Merrill.
Okay.
He does a very good job.
I have a question for Wenke softball complex. The pavilion roof will need to be replaced this year. Do you have any kind of estimate?
No, and that's one that might get pushed off to next year with some of these other things coming along. I think next month we'll need to talk about what the Winky contract looks like. That'll be here sooner rather than later, and right now we are just in that 1 year with a very big push that we need a longer commitment or something for the county. So that kind of goes hand in hand with that, and then trying to get a handle on what lights would cost to replace 1 or 2 fields.
Okay, you're looking at the high priority Field 3 pole line needs to be replaced? That's high priority?
So I wish that the worst pole was Field 1, because Field 1 is the first field that we would want the lights on, but Field 3 has the worst pole. So that's where we kind of get into a twofer here for Field 1 and 3 that we would get the lights on. I don't know, unless things drastically change, I don't think we would need to do Field 4. That's just kind of the practice field where we send just little practices. Field 2, if we all of a sudden got a big jump in tournaments and our league registration, that would be something, but I think we would be fine with just doing Fields 1 and Field 3. I have not had a chance to get pricing on what that looks like, so and I haven't necessarily looked at, it'd be great to do Fields 1 and Field 3, but since Field 3 is the worst, do we just do Field 3 and figure out Field 1 at a later point? It's just Field 1 is kind of that varsity field.
And it will last through the season as it is so far?
Mother Nature.
Time will tell, I don't know.
Okay.
Yes, it'll be fine for the time being. It's just something that we don't want to forget about.
Question on the Neil Street broken glass on courts and other small issues. Somebody is taking glass products up there and breaking them, or was there something that was?
There was nothing there that they broke that was glass. It would have been something that they brought in that they broke.
Okay. Was it on multiple occasions or just one?
I believe 2 so far, and if I have my dates right, I can't believe time right now. I believe it happened, we got one notification on a Monday, and then I think it happened again a couple of days later on a Wednesday. And that was just last week, I think.
All right, did it do any damage to the,
No, just kind of more of that nuisance. People can't necessarily clean that up themselves.
Right.
So us needing to be notified. Joe had talked to the second group that told him, and him trying to reiterate, give the office a call, let us know so we can take care of that kind of stuff.
so somebody that came to play, to use the courts, discovered the
Yes,
broken glass?
yes,
and
both
then-
times, yep.
And were not able to play, or?
I believe it was just on court 4.
Okay.
So they were able to play on other courts. I don't think at that time anybody couldn't play because people were waiting and court 4 wasn't available, but it was just you don't feel good about it.
Yeah, it's just,
And glass is really hard to clean up, and
Yeah.
you see all of it, all that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
and you never can sure you're getting every little shred, and then somebody takes a little fall or something, and
Yeah.
I don't know, what is,
It's disappointing.
it is.
I have a question here on Robert Morris Park. You say, looking into adding another set of speed bumps and a barrier to the guard shack for safety. Do you have an estimate for that, or?
I have not, I don't mean to, it's just been very busy lately, and things are just piling up a little bit, but talking to staff out there, people are bypassing the line and driving around. They are driving very closely to the guard shack, with staff being a little hesitant on if they're going to get hit. More of my concern is I don't think anyone would actually hit somebody, but the domino effect of the line, somebody hitting one car and then getting in. So the thought is another set of speed bumps, because it's maybe 50 feet away from the guard shack and people are still gearing up to drive past, and then putting up, I don't know if it's ballards or exactly what that looks like yet, but to give the guard shack a little bit of space, but also looking at the width of that driveway, making sure people can get out, just come to some of that stuff. But the speed bumps were, I don't entirely remember how much they were for the other 2 parks. And just not entirely sure if that's the answer to our issue at this point. So, to be decided.
Okay. Yeah, it kind of goes up to my priority list, though, if you have folks already scared, at the guard shack.
Yep,
and
so
concerned,
small,
need to
we
address it.
trying to make changes as best we can. They do have like yellow safety vests at this point, so they can wear those. It seems like a lot of people who are doing these things have the annual pass already and don't want to wait in a line, and they just speed on past.
How about a stop sign on the other side as well, just to prevent the go-around?
I guess I don't see, I get having another stop sign. Do you mean for the other traffic coming, or just a double-sided at
Kind
your
of
one?
double-sided, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if it'd be a visibility thing. It would be cheaper than some of these other things. I don't know if that would make it look like it's a one-way coming in.
Okay, well, just an idea, could go full bore with the gate.
I would love a
Which
gate
is
up at the top,
Similar at River Oaks, they
like
have
an automatic one, though. No, you don't even need the button. It's just.
And
Do you remember, I guess it's been a couple of years now, Danielle had looked into getting like the electric gate, and it just quickly added up with having to add electricity to it, and they're trying to figure out how do you get the annual pass sold at the gate, and it just got a little messy with how you would do that. But the amount of people who, it's 2 different parks. From Memorial Day to Labor Day, it's one park. We have rules, we enforce rules, there's all these things. And then outside of those months, it's kind of a free-for-all. People may or may not pay. They do kind of whatever they want. So then when it's this time of year, trying to get people to actually listen to the rules, you hear everything about, I have never paid to get in this park for the 5 years that I've been coming here. And what do you mean I can't have my dog? And just all of that. So yes, a gate. Love that idea. One of the other big things that we ran into this last week was there's no I think we knew it at the end of last year, but there's no electric at the small pavilion. And when we had them come out to look at it, they can't guarantee for, I think it was like $1,000 that the work to figure out where the problem was with the wiring in the ground. But it would be $1,000. They can't guarantee that that problem is in the ground. So it could be $1,000 or however much more if that's not the issue that they find. So right now we're trying to get a quote on what would it be to do new wiring, because we also couldn't say that we fixed this issue underground and then in another year to a month from now, there's another issue because the line is so old from whenever electric was put into the small pavilion.
As far as the concession stand, is it still kind of a limited?
It's still limited. We're only doing Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, with the exception of, with like Memorial Day weekend, we were open on Monday, like those sorts of things. They are already selling more of certain items that they're selling more already of certain items. Some of the staff that we have in bringing in the younger crowd, they're giving us a better idea on, apparently we're selling old people chips and just very, in a nice way that they've saying it, but just a different perspective on, I'm the one who has been coming here, this isn't the food that I would be buying, sort of a thing. So it seems to be going pretty well. I haven't done the deposit for this last week, so I don't have the numbers exactly from that, but trying to get away from that sitting, doing nothing work. Carl, our new park manager, is doing an amazing job. I've never gone there to see somebody just sitting. He always has something for them to do. He's going above and beyond with his work and very much so holding an expectation of what the workers need to be doing and making sure that our guests are
Good.
all adhering to the same rules.
Wonderful.
What were those horrible things you were dragging out of Cooper?
Oh my goodness. Does anyone know what a lily pad weed
Is that a lily pad? I thought lily pads were nice.
I thought so too.
Yeah, those are,
So you probably know we get a fair amount of complaints about how terrible the lily pads look in Cooper Pond. Well, with one of our nature center invasive species poll, me and a couple others, they did not quit on me, did the poll in the pond, and then the other group did more of invasive removal along the other side of the park. And it's this giant tubey thing that runs along the the bottom of the pond, and then from that there's these roots that go into the ground, and trying to pull those things up is very difficult. It was very smelly. We did about, I think we were thinking about 15 feet by 20 feet. It took 4 of us about an hour and a half, and if you didn't know we did it, you probably can't tell that we did it. So I don't know what to tell the people when they call and they complain about the lily pads, but they might be here to stay. I tried. We tried.
without treating it.
And we're worried about using a chemical on it because it feeds into the river, and I don't know if we even could if we wanted to. So it'll just, if you would like to go out and pull lily pads, then you may. I tried, but, so that's what that is.
Thank you for the update.
Oh my gosh, it was, we have a really good group of Joe and Katie, very good. They do an awful lot, and I really appreciate them.
For the program report, farmer's market went okay despite the traffic rerouting?
Yes, Katie's been doing, she put up signs last year, but now more like the detour signs. Yes, the market is open. Yes, you can come down Comstock from River Street to get to the park. So far it's been okay. Last Monday was the first market of the year, and it was pretty well attended. She had a couple activities, and then today it looked like it was pretty well attended. She had the Comstock Community Center ukulele group played, so that was kind of fun. But new vendors, I think one returner. So things are going well.
Okay, and the Memorial Day Parade looks quite successful from the numbers.
I thought so. I guess there have been a couple of complaints, not directed, we didn't get those in our office, but the VFW, I think, was the ones who got them. Apparently the parade was small. I don't know what parade they were looking at, 'cause it was, I could be wrong, but I think it's the biggest that we've had in quite a while.
The numbers look
We had, I think it was 150 cadets maybe marching, so that was a pretty big thing. And then I think we had 20 floats, including like the VFW guard and all that. So I thought it went really well.
Good job.
Yep, very good. Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Going to member comments and announcements? No? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn the park board meeting at 7:10 PM.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.